In today's video, the superintendent for Des Moines Public School System has resigned. Secondly, the government will shut down officially because Congress has failed to pass the continuing resolution. And there was a bomb threat at Utah State University right before Turning Point USA's event. And all these stories will show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
To a developing story now out of the state of Iowa. The superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools resigning after ICE agents had arrested him. Remember, we had the story as it was breaking. They accused him of living and working illegally here in the United States. News Nation's investigative correspondent Rich McHugh is on the scene there and has the story from Des Moines. Welcome, Rich. What's the update?
Thanks, Connell. Well, there's a lot swirling on this for sure. The DOJ just announced that they're investigating Des Moines public schools for race-based, in their language, race-based employment practices. That just crossed. Roberts' attorney gave a press conference just a short time ago where, as you say, he says he's going to resign. We haven't gotten that letter yet, but he said he's going to resign this after the school's Des Moines School Department here gave him a 12 o'clock noon deadline to produce documents that show that he is, in fact, a U.S. citizen.
Now, pay attention to what they said. They said he had a 12 p.m. deadline to produce documents that proves he is a U.S. citizen. So what does that mean? That means when he applied, he lied that he was a U.S. citizen. So that's strike number one. Then, according to reports on social media, he said on his application that he had a doctoral degree from Morgan State University. That university just came out and said, no, that is not true. So first he lies about his citizenship. Then he lies about his education. What else is he lying about exactly? And why are these organizations, particularly this public school system, they were not able to do a thorough background check on this guy? I find that to be interesting. But guess what? Listen to the answer his attorney gives to why he lied on his application about his citizenship. Take a listen.
I asked the attorney, I said, look, he's been saying he's a citizen. Just clear it up for us. Take a listen. On his application for the superintendent, he put that he was a citizen. Number one, is he a citizen or does he maintain that he's a citizen? And number two, he's also been filling out that he has a social security number. Where did he get the social security number?
Well, both of those things I'm able to respond to, but quite frankly, I don't want to respond at this point. But as you may or may not know, certain people coming into this country are entitled to get a social security number. We've thoroughly checked that out. That's not our concern.
He says he's also filed a stay in the case and also wants to reopen the immigration case, the case that goes back to this whole ICE detainment. He gave us a letter that he says ultimately defends his client, that says that he believed he was in the clear from this whole case, but it's a letter from his former attorney, not from the U.S. government in any capacity, Connell.
Okay, so essentially he is SOL, all right? If he does not have documentation saying he's in the country lawfully, he's screwed. And no attorney is going to be able to save him from that, okay? That's just the bottom line, especially when he had a gun on him and he had a knife on him, cash. Now, I'm not really worried about the knife and the cash. I have no problem. You can carry around $100,000 in your car. That doesn't mean you're a criminal, okay? But the fact that you lied about your citizenship, you lied about your education, and you continue to lie, even when you had the opportunity to renew your papers, I don't understand why he didn't do that. You're working for a school district. I don't get why you can't renew your papers there, but I don't know. That's the thing that gets me every time about these stories is why not just get your papers in order? But listen, if you thought these details were ridiculous, wait till you hear that he was registered to vote in Maryland. Take a listen.
So the school board chair, Jackie Norris, says that Roberts had represented himself when he was looking for employment there in Des Moines as an American citizen. This is what she said.
We can tell you that on his I-9, he stated he was a citizen and he provided 2 forms of verification, a driver's license and a social security card. As is typical in other organizations, this is what employers ask of their employees. And as an employer, we trust employees to fill out the required forms truthfully and provide valid documentation.
Again, we trust employees to fill out the required forms truthfully. Ronald Reagan said it best, trust but verify.
Absolutely, John. Trust but verify. And we do have word as well that he was registered to vote in Maryland. And I know, as a former commissioner of elections in Iowa, that we have forms and you have to swear on that form that you are an American citizen. But it doesn't mean that we don't verify. So this is completely on the school board. They were trusting this gentleman, but they did not verify. And again, with a weapons charge that they knew about but allowed him to explain away, they did not go back and verify his status with that incident either.
All right, so there's so much more to get to, but before we do, let's hear this message from today's sponsor, Home Title Lock. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know it happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code DeVory at HometitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That includes 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. So don't be a victim. Protect your home equity today by going to HometitleLock.com using promo code DeVory. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code DeVory. I mean, this story just continues to get more interesting by the day. So let's go back through it again. This guy was in the country lawfully at one point in time. Papers expired. He refused to renew them. Then he was issued a removal order back in May of 2024. We're already past that. It's been a year and a half almost. Then he already had a weapon charge. So that's already a problem. Remember, if you come to this country and you're not a U.S. citizen, the standard for you to be able to stay in this country should be high. It's a privilege to be here. Then you lie about your education, you lie about your citizenship, and then you were registered to vote in Maryland. And then above all that, they didn't even verify his information. I mean, it's interesting. And I think we know why they didn't verify his information, but I'm going to stop right there, okay? Now, the students of one of the high schools and some of the middle schools actually staged a walkout in a way to protest this, and it just shows you the propaganda that they're feeding these children. Take a look.
On your screen right now, live pictures of students walking out of North High School in Des Moines, Iowa, rallying behind a superintendent recently detained by ICE. We are told that some middle schoolers were also brought over to join in the walkout. This happening about an hour after Dr. Ian Roberts resigned his position. He was accused and is accused of being in the United States illegally with a past gun charge and probably a current gun charge as well, and was given a final order for removal last year.
Okay, and let's not forget, he lied about getting his doctoral degree, which means he's been riding around demanding people call him Dr. Ian Roberts, claiming he went to Harvard, MIT. When they call those schools to verify that information, they say they have no record of him attending. So how does this individual rise to the level of being a superintendent, paid almost $300,000 a year, and they never verified any of that information? I think Robert Smith on Newsmax has a great idea behind why that is. Take a listen.
And you can kind of see how all of this happens. You're in a city like Des Moines where everybody's white. You got all these liberals, and it's 90% white in Iowa. And you see this guy, wow, he doesn't look like us. He's so interesting. And you just throw him to the top. The board chair of Michelle Obama's former chief of staff, Jackie Norris, hoping to be Iowa's next senator, was a big part of the problem here, saying this.
He sparked a joy in our kids and an excitement in our kids. And that's, I think it probably over time is probably heartbreaking if it turns out that his citizenship status is in question.
Well, at this point, I don't think there's any questions surrounding his citizenship because we know it doesn't exist. And for the life of me, the thing that frustrates me the most about this entire story is that this guy looks like impressive. He looks like a good dude. Clean cut, confident. It just pains me to realize when he really needed to do the right thing, when no one was looking, he refused to do it. Lack of integrity here. And he's a superintendent of a public school system, or was. Now, let's go to our next update. Government shutdown is official. As you guys can see on the screen, 55 to 45 is the vote. The 55 number means they are voting yes to block the resolution from moving forward, which would keep the government open. What's also interesting is that there were 3 Senate Democrats that voted with Republicans to keep the government open: Senator John Fetterman, Cortez Masto, and King, and a Republican by the name of Lisa Murkowski, who usually doesn't play ball. Even she voted yes. Now, the interesting thing is what the president had to say in the Oval Office about what happens once this takes place and who is really going to be out of a job. Take a listen.
What you're doing. Thank you very much, Linda. Okay, any questions, please?
Mr. President, as we inch closer to a government shutdown, this morning you said you might do a lot of layoffs. If DOGE is already reducing the federal workforce, why is it necessary to link more federal jobs cut to a shutdown?
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, this country, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously, I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody. When I see what we're doing with AI and all the plants that are opening up in the country, $17 trillion is coming. And if you compare that to Biden had, in 4 years, less than $1 trillion. We have $17 trillion, more than that. I think it's going to be much more than that, David. By the end of this year, I think it's going to be far over that. It's a record. It's already a record in 8 months. It's a record by a lot. And so we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop. They don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country. Yes.
So let me make sure you guys understand something. Basically, at this point, they know the government's going to shut down, and there's going to be this mass layoff of federal workers, particularly in the D.C. area. And everybody knows the majority of these workers lean which way on the political spectrum? They're Democrats. And so the president is suggesting that, hey, you know what? I don't want this shutdown, but Democrats won't play ball. And the only people who are really going to suffer is their own base, people who are Democrats who work in D.C., because they're not going to bring them back during this shutdown. They're not going to pay anything, meaning they'll be furloughed or they'll just be laid off entirely. And so obviously more details about that will come out here shortly as time rolls on. But here is Senator John Kennedy and his reasoning about why Democrats refuse to do the right thing. Take a listen.
We're going to have a shutdown because Senator Schumer and the Democrats want one. It will be further evidence that human evolution is a slow process. There's no reason for the shutdown. What we've asked Senator Schumer and his colleagues to approve is what we've approved 15, 20 times, but they want to shut down because the loon wing of the Democratic Party is mad at Chuck, and Chuck wants them to love him, so we're going to have a shutdown.
So what the senator is alluding to is that the last time a government shutdown was possible, Chuck Schumer did the right thing. He compromised with Republicans to keep the government open. And when he did that, that's when his approval rating went, it just tanked after that, because they had radicalized their base so much that their base already, and we showed you the polling, they want a government shutdown. They want to fight with the president. They don't care what the cost is, even if it hurts innocent people. So this time around, he's basically following that lead of being a radical in this position. And I just think it's going to really backfire on him. And guess who agrees with that as well? CNN.
I think what happened in the last shutdown negotiation, I mean, I spoke to Chuck Schumer at the time, and he was wanting to be sort of the responsible party, right? The one that said, we are going to actually stand up here and do the thing that's politically painful, to do the thing that they believe is morally correct, right? They want to protect federal workers. They want to make sure that people have the services that they need. Democrats don't care about that anymore. What I'm hearing from Democrats is, This isn't our problem. We want to protect health care for Americans. Now, what this administration does with the federal government is on this administration and not on us.
Now, as we talked about earlier today, there was this poll from the New York Times that said that Democrats want a shutdown. But here's the newest update to this poll. Chuck Schumer believes that this poll is not only biased, but it's wrong. And then when he says that out loud on the Senate floor, he gets laughed at. Take a listen.
Now, I know the leader is going to show a poll that says that Democrats will be blamed for the shutdown. There are many more polls that show Republicans are blamed. The question in that poll is biased. Biased. In the New York Times, but it's biased. If you turn the... That's true. I don't always believe the New York Times. You can be sure of that. Neither do you. Okay.
Yeah, so needless to say, it looks like it's just a terrible day for Chuck Schumer. I mean, this guy, he's all over the place. And he really put himself in this position, if you think about it. I think the solution for someone like him is just to be who you are, okay? You're not a radical Democrat like AOC. That's not who you are. Just do the right thing, right? And of course, that's not going to happen. And that's why you're continuing to see the voice of reason from Democrats by the name of Senator John Fetterman come out and just say, hey, listen, I'm voting to keep the government open. And what Democrats are doing is just going to create more chaos for this country. Take a listen.
If you really want to fundamentally change policies, win elections, and then you have the ability to do those things. Yeah, I mean, isn't that fundamental, the truth?
And right now, there are Democrats overreaching.
I think it's a noble outcome with the wrong way. Again, this is. Why can't I? I mean, I agree that it takes the tax credits, but what they're willing to do. I'm not going to vote to shut the government down. It's wrong. More chaos is the last thing our nation needs.
All right. So now we go to our next update, and this is where the president continues to prove that he is keeping the promises he made during his campaign, and that is to lower prescription drug costs. A couple things happening. One, he has this deal now with Pfizer, okay, that includes them not getting tariff, but it also means that they're going to place significant investment into manufacturing here in America, which is going to create more jobs. Let me know how you guys feel about that in the comment section, by the way. Secondly, there's a website that's been launched by the federal government called Trump RX, where people can buy prescription drug costs at a discounted rate. We'll see how that all works out. But overall, the president has been busy, of course. Now, let's hear more on this. Take a listen.
President Trump announcing that Pfizer has agreed to offer its drugs to Medicaid at a reduced price. That's part of President Trump's push to lower drug prices.
And introducing Trump RX, a new direct-to-consumer website the administration launching, which will allow Americans to purchase medications at discounts. Cutting out the middleman. Pfizer will be part of that as well.
Now, we know that Trump doesn't like to do any deal without an investment announcement, so we got one. Pfizer also agreeing to spend $70 billion with a B dollars on domestic manufacturing facilities.
And Pfizer also managing to skirt tariffs for at least the next 3 years.
Okay, so getting more into this agreement that was provided by the White House today, it's for every state Medicaid program in the country have access to MFN drug prices on Pfizer products, resulting in many millions of dollars in savings and continuing President Trump's historic efforts to strengthen the program for the most vulnerable. This agreement ensures that foreign nations can no longer use price controls to free ride on American innovation by guaranteeing most favorable nation prices on all new innovative medicine Pfizer brings to the market. And it just continues to go on and talk about that, including the name of the medications that would receive that discount. Bottom line is, I'm not a fan of Pfizer, just so you guys understand, given what happened during COVID. But I'd really like to know what you guys' thoughts are, especially if you're an individual out there that, you need prescriptions to live your life in a very favorable way. I mean, how do you feel about this announcement? I think this is really transactional. My hope is this really does benefit people out there, but I think we need to hear from the people themselves, because I'm not a big believer in big government, and I'm also not a big believer in companies like Pfizer, if you guys can catch my drift. Now, here is Dr. Oz on CNN making the case on why this is so crucial. Take a listen.
We are protecting the Medicaid population because they are our most vulnerable, and it is completely indefensible to charge more for them than you would an affluent person living in Europe. So this is going to help take some of the pressure off Medicaid, which of course states have to pay. We compensate as well, but it's a number one growing budget item for governors around the country. It just gives them relief. We also included in today's program all new products have to be released at most favored nation pricing. So as we evolve and advance science in America and save more people with cancer and treat more people with asthma or problems with skin ailments, all those will be priced appropriately. And we have several drugs, some big ones that were also included by Pfizer that are already going to be at most favored nation pricing within Medicare. So across the board, we're achieving that. And then, again, the magnitude of, we're talking about selling drugs at 1/10 what they are listed for right now, which is, again, dramatically below even the list price. And the Trump RX opportunity also gives direct access to these prices to everybody in America, including in the commercial market. So if you don't like the prices you're getting from your company, you can have Trump RX as your backup, and you'll see even broader strokes of success upcoming.
All right. Now, I actually attempted to go to the website, but it's not live for whatever reason. And so as soon as it is, I definitely want to take a look at it and check that out. And just give you guys his reaction to this news. I mean, this is once again the president doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And that's the one thing you can't take away from him. That's the clear difference between him and Joe Biden, amongst other things, is that Joe Biden would say he'd do something and he wouldn't do it. So good on the president. Now, let's go to this breaking news that just came out. There has been a bomb threat at Utah State University. Why is this important? Well, TPUSA is continuing their tour as scheduled, and this is where they are tonight. Now, the event, at last time I checked, is still on. People are still speaking today, but this is just developing. What they're saying is a suspicious device was detonated by law enforcement at Utah State University on Tuesday afternoon, prior to the first Turning Point USA event in the state since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The institution was already taking extra security measures amid heightened concerns. They have snipers on the roof, by the way. I mean, security is truly beefed up. They said that they found the suspicious device near the exterior of Old Main University, and local law enforcement were dispatched to the scene, and a device was located and then deemed to be a non-explosive device. Out of abundance of caution, the bomb squad detonated the suspicious device, and here is a clip of them doing that. Take a listen. Okay, so the good news is it was not an explosive device. They were able to neutralize it, get rid of it, and the event is still taking place. Now, if you're curious about who's speaking at this event, I'll show you a clip here shortly. But I think it's really good on Turning Point USA to keep moving forward, to not stop. They have all this momentum. The worst thing that they could do, which would go against what Charlie Kirk would want, clearly, is to stop doing what they've been doing. Keep doing what they've been doing. I mean, think about it. There is no other organization that's in high schools and in universities trying to give these children the right mindset to not only become better leaders in the future, but to be educated about our country in a fair, balanced way. Now, we know Democrats claim that what Charlie Kirk was saying is hate speech and all this other stuff and racist, and that's so far from the truth. You show me someone who was able to talk to so many Gen Zers in the numbers that Charlie Kirk was able to, and then I might entertain what you're trying to say. Now, here's a clip of the people who will be speaking tonight. Take a listen.
Several prominent Republicans are set to speak there, and they include Senator Mike Lee, Congressman Andy Biggs, Utah Governor Spencer Cox, and former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz, who was with Charlie Kirk when he was assassinated. There are among so many who are growing Kirk's legacy. His widow, Erica Kirk, says Charlie may be gone, but his voice literally lives on.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the bottom line for Turning Point. There's no way people are going to forget what he has done for them and what his legacy truly is. I mean, just look at the numbers. I mean, they said that on his Instagram account, he only had 3 million followers. Now he has 13 million. It's crazy. They said that there are record Bible sales now, record number of people who are attending church. And so for someone who they called to be racist, white supremacist, and is all filled with hate, then I guess everybody else who's buying into what he was saying is also a white supremacist. And I guess at that point, it just doesn't make sense, and the math just doesn't add up. So let's hear from you guys in the comments section below to what we discussed in this video today, starting with the Schumer shutdown. I mean, this guy truly is continuing to humiliate himself. And the president's just having his way with Democrats, of course. And the fact that 3 Democrats voted with Republicans to keep the government open clearly demonstrates that they're all over the place. And this is probably going to be a loss for them, including the people who are about to get laid off as a result of this government shutdown. Secondly, what do you make of the president announcing the prescription drug prices that will be discounted due to his agreement with Pfizer? Let me know how you guys feel about that. And then finally, what do you make of this superintendent or former superintendent who was not only caught lying about his citizenship, but his education, and had a social security number and was registered to vote in Maryland? What do you make of all that? Just give me all your thoughts and everything you got in the comment section below. All right, this takes us to our next video, where the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, delivered a historic speech, an explosive one, where he really confronted the generals for not only the weight standards, but the physical fitness standards for the military. And you got to see the backlash he is receiving from mainstream media for yourself. So if you missed out on that update and more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.